Hello everybody and welcome back to the KCM. We're here for week 8 of season 2, starting things out on Polestar. And it's going to be a TVZ with Zealot. It'll be a lot of fun. Bet you're looking forward to this one, Shun.
Yeah, that's for sure. We got here spawning in the bottom right. You do it, sorry, my bad. It's your job.
We don't even know who that is in the bottom right. It's Mists. Here's the lineup anyway. It could be Mong. Oh my gosh, it's Mong. All right. Mong down here in the bottom right, and Zealot in the bottom left.
Well, you know why they did that, right? They did that because this is a Terran favored map against Zerg. This is like a 6-4 split. So if Mong's gonna do any heavy lifting, might be on this map and it might be against Zealot. Although Zealot has incredibly high level muteless micro and all kinds of cheesy builds, like literally 50 bags of tricks to pull from. I don't mean 50 builds, I mean 50 bags of individual builds and variations. Like he's that high level of a execution orientated optimizer and cheesy player. I can imagine this is gonna be a rough one for Mong.
Yeah, I can't understand why this was the choice to send out Mong first if it's definitely going to be against a Zerg player. I thought that this was going to be our Protoss sniper. Maybe get sent out against the likes of Snow, maybe Stork to take them down nice and quick, but they send him out first, and there's a very good chance that Zealot's able to pull him apart.
Well, I think I understand the thought process. So I think the thought process is we probably will struggle to win this week, but if we are going to win, the way we do it is by double dipping with Mong. Like Mong's a TVP sniper, but if he can somehow take out someone like Zealot and then a Protoss player, then maybe the Terran squad actually have a shot at winning the whole week. But yeah, in pretty much any other situation, I think the Terran will struggle to do the heavy lifting necessary to win. And Zealot optimizing with an early pull gas into expansion, so he may want to be hyper aggressive with either really fast lair timing or some kind of Ling run by. But with this map, it's most likely going to be like a 2-hatch all-in muta player.
It makes sense that he would go for something like this. This is right up Zealot's alley. Mong not going to scout early, so he doesn't really know what's coming. Won't really be able to put on much pressure here initially. There's the lair. Really nicely early timed layer here. Gonna be putting on a lot of pressure, but keeping it very, very stingy on the drone count. It is a risk going for a build like this for sure, but Zealot makes it work time and time again, so I don't see how this will be any different.
Right, I mean, I guess the question will be, will Mong end up identifying this quick enough and start to, you know, navigate how to handle it? I mean, you can just make non-stop turrets and marines, and as long as you identify it quickly enough, maybe you'll be okay. The problem is if you don't identify that this spire is on the way, and it is kind of hard to tell that unless you see the exact timing of the spire. I mean, he's pulling back the Zerglings, but the SCV may better get in there. He needs to kind of block the ramp with a drone or something, because if he allows this SCV to come in and see the spire timing, maybe Mong could optimize against this. He hasn't actually blocked that SCV from getting into the base either, so kind of an interesting situation we've got here. If Mong does manage to get a fairly crisply timed engineering bay, he sees the spire timing, he can, you know, avoid the issue of the building SCVs being sniped by the earlier muta timing. This is going to be like 20 to 30 seconds quicker than usual in terms of when the mutas actually get to the base of the Terran.
So he'll have to add on that earlier eBay, make sure that he's got the turrets in time. There's the signature sunken colony at the front for Zealot. Goes for that sunken colony almost every single game, but he's made 6 Lings and gone for the sunken colony, so his econ is really hurting here. Seems like he skipped over Ling's speed at least, so he's got that bit of extra gas to work with, but this is still a bit rough in terms of how all in this build is now.
Oh, absolutely. It's about as all in as you can get. I mean, he technically can transition out of it if he does like a mid to high amount of damage, but can't quite seal the deal on Mong. He does have a transition point. It's just very difficult. It's kind of like going 4-pool. Technically, you can transition out of it. It's just you have to do a pretty high amount of damage to be successful in doing so. And this was a fast academy play from Mong, which means that not only is his stim going to be crisply timed, but his range won't be lagging behind as much as it could be. And that's actually a big deal. Like the fact that Zealot won't have a big window to exploit a lack of range with these earlier timed Mutalisks might help Mong out in holding the line.
Well, it's all going to come down to this early engagement. Can Zealot get some good damage rolling and get the ball going here, or is he just going to fall flat? Is Mong going to be able to block? Now, I'd love to see Mong with his Marines on the top of the ramp, waiting by these turrets for this initial swipe, because if Zealot gets anything going here, it's going to be in a lot of trouble. And see, he is already going to fly right in, start to hit this SCV. If that goes down, oh my gosh, it goes down before finishing that turret. That's very painful. Second turret going to start immediately here. I imagine Mong really has to take this seriously.
Yeah, no, he does. I mean, he's Zealot's killing SCVs as well as a little bit of bio here. He has to do both. You can't just only focus SCVs. In this situation, you have to shave off as much bio as possible. Gonna rotate around to see if there's any holes in the defense of Mong. So far, Mong's done a pretty good job of getting these zoning turrets online, but these depots are a point of contention in the natural. Zealot wants to take out this turret so he can force the bio to try and save the supply depot so he can keep trading off those units and keep whittling down the defensive force of our Terran player Mong. Mong, so far, he's done an okay job at keeping Zealot at bay, though. Like, this is not the worst case scenario for Mong at all. He's held this reasonably well thus far.
Turrets are being remade, and I haven't seen a scan just yet, but we can see for ourselves 3 drones at the natural. Zealot is still all in here. He's not made any sort of move towards the transition. He can't really until he's done some good damage. He's continued to wait for more Mutalisks to arrive so that he can hit that critical mass where maybe he can start to dive 2 to 3 turrets, dive on top of these Marines and really get something going. Lings coming forward here with no speed are going to try to tank a little bit of damage so the Mutas can get a bit of an advantage, but barely able to do anything to those Marines, and the reinforcement line comes in time. Zealot is still on a clock here in order to do damage.
Yeah, he's just like forcing stims while waiting for additional mutas to arrive the majority of the time. As soon as he feels like he's reached a critical threshold, he's going to go in like this and take out 2 or 3 Marines at a time and act like a barber, just shaving more and more. Though he doesn't notice the drone dying to the SCV. That's a really big deal for Mong. He's killed at least one of these drones. That's 50 minerals a minute that no longer Zealot can utilize in producing non-stop Mutalisks. If he loses one additional drone, that's going to really start to eat in his Mutalisk production potential. And he actually might lose this second drone. I can't believe this. Zealot is completely tunnel vision on microing and controlling these Mutalisks, that he's not dealing with this SCV in his main base. He's just now killed that SCV with drones, but that's disrupted his mining time a little bit. And that might be enough to kind of ease off the pressure and allow Mong to stabilize. He's diving on top of the two turrets in the main base, though. He is opening up this pocket for exploitation, and the bio count is low enough that Zealot could still run away with the game. It's a very bizarre situation, but even though he lost a couple of drones there, it looks like he still might be able to do a lot of critical damage to Mong.
Yeah, that's something that you never expect as a Zerg player with a sunken colony. Where did that SCV come from? And it ends up getting a bunch of damage because he's so focused on getting in here to the main, and he's actually done it. He's broken it open, and he's pushed the SCVs away. He's done a reasonable amount of damage. He could try to transition from here, but he really wants to get as much as he can, killing off a few more SCVs here before the transition fully comes online. You can see that starport is about to finish up here, and he's still killing more Marines. He's doing such a great job of hitting this. Valkyrie pops out. He needs to get a perfect control on that. Can he actually kill it? Oh, He does pick that off. Very good control there from Zealot.
Wow, that's really well done from Zealot. That was the lifeblood of Mong here. He really desperately needed that Valkyrie to stay alive and get a second one out to have any chance at creating enough point defense to keep Zealot at bay. There's another Valkyrie that's about to pop out. They have even faster build time than Race, but they cost so much money, and he's only mining on one base right now. Here comes the second Valkyrie. Maybe he can hold it. He's got a few bar units. Still 2 turrets alive. I mean, there is technically a world in which Zealot can't quite get the job done here, but so far he's done a great job of exploiting this main base of Mong and delay a lot of mining potential. It's so hard to squeeze out Valkyries and Bio non-stop, as well as turrets. So he's cutting on turrets to be able to squeeze out these Valkyries and Bio non-stop, and without mining in this main base, eventually they'll put him on a clock. His barracks are kind of struggling to keep up with production right now, having a few seconds of lack of producing anything as a result of this non-stop Valkyrie production on just one base. And I mean, Zealot looks like he's done it. There's only 1 Valkyrie left remaining. There's another one that's about to pop out, but I mean, as long as somehow Mong can target fire down the weakened mutas, maybe there's a way of making this work. But now there's a pair of Scourge joining the fray. If he snipes one of these Valkyries, it might be over.
Yeah, he's doing a great job of holding on right now. Valkyrie does go down, though, and there are Lings in the natural as well. Nothing on the ground here, just 1 Marine to try and deal with these Lings, but he's going to go ahead and snipe that. Now it's just 1 Valkyrie in the air as the Lings come in and start to hit these turrets. I think this is just about over. 3 more Marines pop out. Can he keep this Valkyrie alive? The repair! Oh, the repair is so good. That repair has actually been keeping him alive in this game. There was a repair earlier on a turret that saved him, keeping the mutas inside of range of the Marines for such a long time, dealing a lot of damage to those, and then the Valkyrie was able to start to clean things up. Valkyrie here, he's scared to send it into the main because these mutas are so scary, and there's a pair of Scourge in here as well. Once again, cannot regain control of this base just yet. Will be able to get another Valkyrie out here soon, though, and he is starting to get a little bit of momentum back as Zealot gets pushed away from this main. However, Lings are still coming in. They are those slow Lings, though, so not nearly as dangerous. Mutas in a good high clump. You need at least 2 Valkyries to try and even attempt to fight this.
Yeah, it seems like Mong is just barely scraping together enough minerals to get those Valkyries out still. Now 2 Valkyries have been made. Pretty good slide micro. Does manage to almost get 2 connections onto those, though. I think they split. Okay, only 1 Scourge actually managed to find a connection there. I mean, this is kind of a wild game. You can see why the Terran squad wanted to put Mong out on this map. He had a strong chance of going the distance against any Zerg player here because of the favorite of the map. But, I mean, it's just crazy. Zealot's so good at his micro that he's almost bowling over Mong. And Mong, though, with a great show of defense, kind of uncharacteristically, he doesn't usually do this well against this level of Mutalisk harass, but he's been able to do it here today, at least for the time being. More and more Scourge ready to pounce on top of this. He's got a pretty sizable Marine force. He's trying to bait the Valkyries into a bad situation. He does manage to snipe one of them. There's still another pair of Scourge trying to dive on top of that Valkyrie. He can't save it. All the Valkyries have gone down. There are no turrets on that barracks production line. The natural is completely exposed. Zealot's done it. He probably will bowl over Mong at this rate.
Yeah, that was crazy. I mean, Mong not able to target fire any of these Scourge here. If he target fires just a couple of Scourge, he can save both of those Valkyries and overtake air control here. Take it away from Zealot. 1 Mutalisk is left, by the way. Oh my goodness, 1 Mutalisk. And there's 4 Marines. This is crazy close right now, and he's going to fly in through this main base. You cannot allow that Valkyrie to die. You must not allow that Valkyrie to die, Mong. Even going up to 1 base, just float the CC, go on 1 base, and try to get another Valkyrie out. I think that's the way to live here in this game. Maybe not to win, but at least to live for now.
Yeah, I mean, 1 base is enough to keep up with the 2 base all in, but it's kind of even as long as both players trade reasonably well. It's going to come down to whether or not Zealot can bait this Valkyrie into an awkward position and snipe it. If he fails the slide micro just once with that Valkyrie, he'll probably die to the Scourge, and Zealot's trying to bait him into making a mistake like that. So far, Mong doing a good job of just holding the line, not really overstepping his own boundaries for the time being. Zealot pulling as many as Mutalisk as he can muster. He's got 3 pairs of Scourge now. against 2 Valkyries, so he's counting on a little bit of accidents not quite going his way. And with this bio count getting higher and higher, eventually this will put Zealot on a clock and he won't be able to finish the game anymore. Tries to find a connection with this guy, doesn't do it. Mong is in a great position right now. I didn't think Zealot would have had this much of a hard time closing out the game against someone like Mong, but Mong maybe, figured out a little bit of the weaknesses that needed to be improved on, and pretty good Valkyrie micro from Mong is definitely paying dividends.
3 Valkyries now. It's actually getting worse and worse. Zealot did not take the opportunity to transition. He had definitely an opportunity when all of his mutas were dead, and he, killed a huge amount of SCVs. He was actually light years ahead in supply for just a moment. As the Marines were popping out, he decides to continue the all-in and is not able to close this game out. Mong hangs on by the skin of his teeth. What a close one, though. Barely keeping himself alive and taking a first win for Terran.
That's just wild saying. I really did feel like Zealot was going to be able to do that. He broke open the defenses of Mong so many times and still couldn't quite seal the deal. That's unorthodox. Like, we don't expect Mong to perform like that. But, I mean, props to him, man. But maybe the game plan of Terran by sending him out first is now going to pay off, because he could potentially snipe one of these Protoss players too.
High octane game number 1. Tyson gonna take the stage here for game number 2. Is this Mong's time to shine, man? I think that Mong has a very good chance of taking down Tyson on this map.
I think so. It's a pretty okay map for Terran. We used to think this was a very Protoss favored map when it first came out. We thought there's no way Terran can handle these high to low ground transitions of these pizza slices, but someone like Light and Mihu demonstrated very quickly there's so many different ways you can play on this map, and Light, for example, showing that you can take the center of the board and launching attacks from there. There's very tight corridors and a lot of cliffs to funnel and abuse the Protoss in the frontal engagements. And I mean, they've kind of made some changes to this map. Like, you can put turrets out further on this the initial pizza slice in the rally point now, so you can take your mineral only much more easily than before. And there's a lot going Terran's way for this map, and the fact that Mong is such a Terran versus Protoss specialist, I do give him strong chances of taking down Tyson.
I just wanted to mention that the previous map, Polestar, we're playing on the newest version, the preliminary ASL map pool version of that map. You can tell because the ramp had been changed. There's no longer 2 eggs on that ramp. It's now a mineral patch, but it didn't really come into play in that last game, and we were busy talking about the all-in, so I didn't mention it. But seems like we're playing on the preliminary versions of these maps, the ASL 20 preliminary versions, so we'll keep an eye out for that. Radeon has also been changed ever so slightly, but we'll talk about it when it comes up.
Right, yeah. That makes sense. Okay, so nothing too crazy here on Mong. This is a very chill and orthodox factory timing. You didn't go for something like an 11 gas like someone like Sharp or Speed might elect to do. This is a very standard macro opening from Mong. He's only leaving 1 on gas as well, so we're probably not going to see anything too crazy out of him. He just wants to create a strong sim city to avoid any initial damage, because there was this 14 Zealot made by Tyson, so he might be wanting to put a bit of pressure on with that. But Mong is so good in his early game navigation and defense against Protoss that I don't think this Zealot will be too successful. It's likely Tyson will wait until the Dragoon can join forces with it and try and catch Mong by surprise. Like, say if Mong were to skip this bunker here and just have 3 Marines to bully back the Dragoon, the Zealot would help, change the tide quite significantly. But as it stands, with the bunker on the way, unless Tyson goes for a run by, that won't be too successful. But this engineering bay block is a really big deal from Mong. Like, he's not going to be able to slow that down at all, because he's committing the Zealot and Goon to the front so early. And now Mong going to be getting a bit of positional advantage. If he body blocks the Zealot from a run by as well, this is really well done from Mong. Already finding an advantage against Tyson with the eBay block and denying this Zealot Goon action at the front.
Yeah, he's pushing this back as well, and now the Vulture can slip out completely unimpeded. Dude, this is slowing down our Protoss player by quite a bit. He's actually brought 2 probes over here as well to try and get rid of that eBay block. A Vulture is going to be coming up towards this natural. Look like he might be thinking about trying to slip in, but he's waiting for the Dragoon to leave. Dude, the timings from Mong are crazy. He actually waited for that Dragoon to leave, and is going to make a run for it, try to get in here. Not going to be able to make a dash by that Dragoon, but you can see the thought process here. Mong, very high level decision making and timings out of him.
Yeah, Tyson's going to try and obfuscate his intentions, though. He's going for a DT play behind this due to the early game shenanigans, and we'll try and take advantage of maybe a badly timed eBay or something, but the eBay of Mong isn't too badly timed at all. And it seems like Tyson wants to show range to Mong and try and make him think, like, hang on a minute, there's no way there could be a fast DT timing. That's why he's showing him the range this early on. He wants to make sure Mong knows that a DT is even less likely, because if you were going for a fast DT play, it's quite common that you'd want to skip that range and get it a lot more crisply timed, something like a 5-minute 10, 5-minute 30 DT timing rather than like a 6-minute DT timing. And he's trying to kind of sell a false bill of goods here to Mong. But Mong still will have some turrets being produced, both in his main and natural. The question is, will somehow Tyson pull the trigger on diving in and sniping that turret or not?
I think that Zealot is here to do a bit of tanking, and maybe he can try to go for that. Look at the SCVs here at the top. Blocking. Really good stuff from Mong, making sure that he can't dive forward here.
Genius.
Pull everything back.
Sorry for saying. I was going to say he hovers the barracks over the turret, so he can't target the turret to snipe.
Oh,
I was
that's
just saying,
so
it's so
smart.
genius from Mong.
Oh, that's so smart. Yeah, this is really good stuff from Mong. I don't know what happened to the Vulture out of the map. I think he might have lost that. Here he comes. SCVs are going to be pulled. Immediately blocking this out. Dude, big brain. Big brain from Mong. Robotics facility behind this, and this is just going to fall completely flat on its face. Tyson has no way to bust this open.
I mean, that's just so high-level stuff from Mong. It's not even that he knew for sure it was going to be DTs. He's just, you know, dotting I's, crossing T's, and guaranteeing safety against any shenanigans. And the way that Tyson was acting with his Dragoons was a little bit suspicious. Like, he wanted to really show Mong that he had range upgrades, so there was no way that there could be an early DT play coming. And Mong was having none of it. And yeah, floating that barracks over the turret kind of sealed the deal. There's just no real play of diving in there, sniping that, and getting a run by with the DT. And Mong, just with such an exceptional opening against Tyson in this game, like, you can see why he's such a powerful versus Protoss specialist. And I mean, it's a well-deserved respect that he's gotten from the community.
Yeah, he's navigated this with some real finesse. I really love the barracks there. It wouldn't even occur to me to block that, to block a building like that. It's so common that the Zealot gonna run forward, tank a lot of the shots, and then the Dragoons run up and try to snipe down that turret to open the way for DTs. Perfect counter has just been revealed by Mong. Float that barracks over the turret, cannot be targeted, and now he's sitting here in a really strong defensive position. He's already got his comsats up, and he's just gonna block this out. Oh my gosh, you can't even get the DTs into position to do anything here because the blocking with the SCVs is so good this game.
I mean, it's just so good from Mong. His scanner was just finishing up as the shuttle was coming into the base as well. Everything about this is just so clean and crisp. Almost feels like watching Flash play back in the day, where like nothing would, you know, surprise him, and he had every single timing mapped out almost perfectly. This will be a 2-base arbiter play into a 3rd base from Tyson here to try and catch up in the curve of the game. Mong with 4 factories could be aggressive if he so chooses, but he knows there's obviously that DT tech to worry about, so he's going to want to pool a little bit of energy on those scanners where he's been thinking about attacking. And it seems like the DT is trying to accomplish something in the way of harassment, but only really getting like 1 or 2 SEV kills in total. It's not that big a deal.
Yeah, he's not gotten the damage that he was looking for, that is for sure. 9 minutes passing on the clock here, no 3rd base just yet. His army is going to be quite weak. Oh, trying to take a 3rd base on location. That's not going to be allowed. That's an illegal move there, and the D2 will shut that down. Might be able to save the CC. Hold on. Oh my god, one more swipe. He does cancel.
Oh, it cancels
He does
it.
cancel. All right, that was very
I like
close.
how he's living on the edge there. Like, he cancelled that at the last possible second. He was really trying to see if he could stifle that DT and keep that CC timing clean, but still going to be getting that third base more or less the same time as Tyson, which is kind of crazy when you think about it. Like, he had a much earlier natural, and now he's got a, relatively speaking, much earlier third base. And that's going to be really tough. I mean, Tyson's going to be fighting an uphill battle in this game. Like, he needs to find some major damage somehow, whether that's a recall in the main base or catching Mong out of position and diving onto some tanks. He's pressuring the third base right now. Mong will cycle over a tank or two here to defend and shut this down. There is a shuttle, though, waiting to pounce on this. Turret not yet finished. A little bit of a Zealot bomb action. Trying to get a Mind Drag onto that tank. Does manage to get at least one of those tanks. Maybe he can get on top of these other two tanks that are to the north and Frank now. This is kind of well done from Tyson. He's opened up the position on Mong to exploit. If he kills these two tanks and has the high ground advantage, Mong might have to cancel that CC and kind of be slowed down now. This is a great play from Tyson, I have to say.
Yeah, that was very well done. He had just a few tools at his disposal. That shuttle from earlier dropped the unsuccessful drop into the main. Something clutch here, allowing him to break that high ground and the extremely greedy third base from Mong. You could try to take the third base at the mineral only, I think, a lot more successfully. With a lot more safety here as Mong, but he really wanted to get that third gas online as quickly as possible and maximize his advantage, but it turns into a bit of a disadvantage now. Arbiter transition after the DT opener is pretty standard, although we have seen a lot of players try to go into Templar and just Storm directly after this early DT play. Doesn't seem like that's in the mind here for Tyson. He'd much rather get those spells out, the stasis, the recall, to try and abuse this map a little bit more.
I mean, Mong bit off a little bit too much that he could chew, and now has a few extra pounds to try and shake off, and isn't quite moving as fluidly in this game as maybe he should be able to, and that will also give more oxygen for Tyson to get a nicely timed mineral only here as well. And we're going to have a real game on our hands. Like, this isn't over by any stretch of the imagination, but I mean, this really does reset the power balance. So Tyson has a much stronger position to operate from, and it will now be Mong trying to play a little bit of catch up. He has got the tech advantage technically, like he's gone for very early double armory here. He can just sit back and go all the way up into 3 weapons upgrades, but this is really nicely done from Tyson, just keeping this pocket of Dragoons at the third and really sandbagging the timing of when Mong can seize control of that. And that's going to really help out the ebb and flow of the game from Tyson's perspective in slowing down Mong this much. I really do feel like this is going to be a strong mid to late game transition from Tyson as a result, despite all that craziness in the early game.
Yeah, despite things not going too well for him with the DT play, he's managed to transition kind of nicely here. Everything's going to be pushed back a little bit in the timings because of that early game, but here at 12 minutes, Mong taking his third base. He was gearing up for a super early third base, somewhere around 10 minutes or 9 minutes even. But here he is at nearly 13, finally getting that set up. His timings have been slowed down by quite a bit, but with 3 base versus 4, definitely anybody's game. The thing I'm worried about, though, is recalls on this map are very painful. Really difficult to get your whole army as a Terran player back into that pocket, and super difficult to defend all angles in that main base. Like, you just can't set up enough turrets in there. In the best of circumstances, it's hard to set up enough turrets to stop a recall, but on a base like this, what we're seeing there in the main base, it's so hard to stop this recall from going in, and then it's so hard to bring everything back into the main to deal with it. You can see Mong preempting it a little bit by sending this in right now, but he doesn't have mines laid down, and so this is going to get off, and it's going to do quite a lot of damage. I mean, that's a lot of Zealots, actually. Only, what, 3 Dragoons in here?
Right.
Mostly Vulture Army can actually clear this kind of quite nicely. Let's see if he manages to clean this up without taking too much damage.
Yeah, usually you want a bit more of a Dragoon heavy recall to get effectiveness going from that, but I mean, Mong saw that Arbiter with the mines on the periphery outside by his like 4th base location. So I mean, that gave him a bit of a tip off and allowed him to respond to this pretty effectively. Although Tyson, he has pulled a lot of the attention inside the main base, and he's left this mineral only a little bit vulnerable. He's clearing out the minefield in front of that, and wants to maybe think about eyeing up those tanks to dive on top of them. Hasn't got any speed shuttles here to try and seal the deal on that, but he might have enough meat on the bone from this Protoss infantry force just to get on top of these siege tanks. There is a bunker here to help the trades go a little bit more Mong-sided, but if he does somehow get onto this pizza slice, this is going to be a great trade for Tyson. Just needs to shut down mining here at the mineral only, as well as get on top of the many tanks possible. There's a pretty good stasis, but the tanks in the main base for Mong are really going to make the difference, and eventually will allow Mong to seize control of this mineral only yet again. Although Tyson does have a massive round of zealots that are making their way downtown to join this, while he's double expanding on the left hand side of the map as well. So Tyson does not want to lift off the gas pedal at all.
It's crazy. That was a 90 supply advantage for Tyson when he attacked into this 3rd base. I mean, it's crazy that he was able to hold even this long. Might be losing the CC, though the CC getting so close here. 160 HP. It does manage to survive. The hopes of Mong rest on the survival of that command center, and with that surviving, maybe there's a shot for him to get a 4th base, but there's no way he can attack. He is just about down and out here, but he's hanging on for dear life.
I mean, I'm kind of impressed by Tyson going this toe-to-toe with Mong and almost making Mong look silly at a few junctions. It's kind of really insane. Maybe that's another reason to explain the high percentage for the Protoss squad. Maybe there was a lot of faith in Tyson being able to do some heavy lifting as well. He has surprised us in the past. He's not quite the lower rung of caliber player that we used to think he was a couple of years ago. He's really stepped into his zone in recent times and able to hang with some of the best. And we're seeing that here displayed against a Terran versus Protoss specialist, no less. So definitely impressed by Tyson thus far. Mong needs to desperately hold on to this control of the pizza slice, leading to his mineral only. He's taking a 4th base behind this, but Tyson knows as long as he forces trades, it's going to be hard for Mong to catch up. But also doesn't want to be too suicidal about attacking into that. So he's instead going to be waiting for a recall. Got an Arbiter in the bottom right, just waiting to churn out a little bit more energy in about 15 or so seconds. He has got a Vessel, though. If he EMPs the Arbiters as they're coming in, that's a way of making a comeback here. The longer Mong holds on, the more he'll reach that maxed out position, and upgrades are still churning. So the longer this game goes on, the better it could be for Mong potentially. Let's see if this recall can get off.
He's going to combo this attack in with the natural at the same time recalling. Oh my goodness, right on top of this natural, and the SCVs could come off the line to fight, but they're not. Tanks are going to be targeted down here on the low ground. Most of the Dragoons are dead though, and you know what? This is not going too bad for Mong. He's actually hanging on, most importantly, to his armories, which are here in the natural. Those are going to live, and he will be able to transfer these SCVs over and mine on 2 bases. He's not going to be, you know, suffering as a result of being only on or losing a lot of these SCVs. He still will be having full mining on 2 bases and can start to reproduce those SCVs. So just living here is a bit of a victory. No, oh god, no detection over at this 3rd base. He just runs right up on top of everything. Really decisive attack from Tyson, getting on top of this right before that turret finishes, but it looks like Mong again gonna hold, although dropping to 84 supply.
This is insane.
He is so close to death, but barely scraping by.
The win condition from Tyson is really good though. Like, he just wants to keep the unit count for Mong so low that he can't seize control of a 4th base. Even dropping recalls on top of the tank line as well. He just wants to kill as many tanks as possible and make it so that Mong cannot spread himself thinly by taking this 4th base. But Mong kind of has to do it anyway. Like, he has to assume that somehow it's going to be successful. He will eventually dry up in this game, especially with these 2 additional bases taken by Tyson. He's kind of on like 4 bases fresh off mining with a little bit of trickle minerals coming in from his natural as well. So it's kind of like 4.5 bases worth of economy versus 2. And the natural of Mong about to completely become mined out as well. So he has to take this 4th base now. Tyson knows it'd be very difficult for Mong to contribute enough units to defending that 3rd base at the mineral only, as well as securing this 4th. So we'll now start to try and pull Mong apart by attacking on 2 fronts. Mong hoping that this +3 weapons upgrade will kick in just a moment here and he can start trading better, but it's going to be a bit of a hill to climb.
Well, he is 3-2 now. 3-2 has kicked in. He is going to be trading a lot better with these Zealots and Dragoons, which are pretty low in terms of their upgrades, and he's going to go ahead and try to take this 4th base. I don't know where he got that 4th command center. Shun pulled that out of his backside and sent it down to that 4th location. I thought he was going to lift the main or something like that, but he somehow got it, scraped together enough minerals to build a 4th command center, and he's defending that now. Sitting back and just holding these 4 bases is actually a win right now for Mong, but it's not going to take him all the way. It's not going to win him this game. It just feels like a win to just live at this point, because he's been so close to death.
One thing we should point out is that with the nature of the 3-player map, it's not like Tyson has the win condition of just sitting back and setting up 3 rally points like you can on a map like Radiant or Polestar. So Mong can sit back and defend and be more happy in doing so than usual. There will be another rally point set up by Tyson, but it's not necessarily a game-winning move. He has to attack in and trade off the army of Mong. There's not that many tanks here. A bit of a late siege as well. Plenty of vultures to try and screen against those Zealots, but that's a beautiful stasis from Tyson. Mong can't defend against it. GG is caught, and Tyson doing the heavy lifting, and with the knockout punch on Mong, really starting to deflate the Terran hopes of taking out. I mean, how the hell do you even defeat Protoss in terms of snow right now, unless Zerg somehow dispatch of him? Speed and JYJ are not going to be enough to defeat the rest of that Protoss squad, I feel.
All right, Tyson versus Queen. Game number 3. We got our Zerg down in bottom left. Protoss over in top right. Tyson fighting out of his weight class in that last one. Mong, the heavy hitter, not quite able to hang with Tyson that game. Really, I mean, he had everything going for him, but Tyson's solid, super solid. That was like, if I could compare that play from Tyson to any other player in the scene right now, I would compare him to best. Breaking open the Terran player at that one specific moment when he gets getting a little bit too greedy, and smashing through him with the continuous aggressive Zealot Dragoon play. Very best-esque, and I wonder if he can continue that momentum here against Queen.
Yeah, the only thing that was really different about the styles was that he was doing it with arbiters rather than speed shuttles predominantly, but very similar schools of thought and how to exploit the Terran's point of weaknesses, and did a great job of taking down Mong. That's some major heavy lifting for the Protoss squad. Usually you'd be thinking someone like Snow would be necessary in taking down these really high-level Terran versus Protoss players, but now that kind of takes the pressure off of them a little bit and focus more on their PvZ. I mean, if somehow Tyson takes out Queen here, it's going to be absolute insanity. Like, I'm going to be blown away. And Snow has improved his PvZ a lot lately, so definitely looking like a potential Protoss victory here this week. Getting a little bit of a slowdown on this hatchery. Gets a couple of particle beam shots on that drone. Will force it to go to the 3rd base to make a hatchery instead, and it's not the worst case scenario, but it's not ideal. And look at this. This is a 2 gateway in-base build from Tyson. So this hatchery going down at the 3rd is actually a really big deal, because it's so much harder to defend that from this initial 2-gate pressure.
Yeah, this is a build that I run into all the time on ladder. So many Protoss players like to play this way, but you see so few pros pull this out. And it's not even with a gas as well. So he's just going straight up to Gateway Zealot. He's going to try to put on a whole bunch of pressure and eventually transition probably into a forge, some cannons in the natural, and taking his natural base. If he can, it's still going to be a little bit rough here, especially with Lings in the main. The big priority here, I think, for Tyson is to get those Zealots on the ramp. It's such a small ramp to try and force Lings up that 2 Zealots can basically handle that, and then the rest of the Zealots can go out and deal some damage. But this is going to get wacky pretty quickly with 2 zealots back at home and zealot probe over here at the natural. Things can get hairy. Oh, that's a lot of lings though. He's definitely doing right and handling this build appropriately by adding on this many lings early to deal with the 2 gateway zealot.
Yeah. But even before he scouted the zealot out on the map, he knew there must be one. Once the lings got into the main base and saw how slow those other 2 zealots were, he knew that it was very likely that there was a zealot somewhere out on the map, either going to his third or his natural. So had a few extra pairs of lings made to meet them in force, and doing a good job of task switching in the main base, pinning these 2 zealots down and defending. Eventually, though, Tyson has been able to mobilize some zealots towards this third base location, but it might be a little bit too late. Queen's had quite a significant amount of time to pull Zerglings and deflect this attack, so Tyson's going to have to tactically withdraw, pull about 5 or 6 zealots into one big group and then pull the trigger on going in here. Wouldn't be the worst idea to just dive into this third base and hold the ramp while the 1 or 2 zealots kill the hatchery.
Yeah, this is a position though that I'm very happy with. If I'm a Zerg holding this, you can build a lot of lings over on that high ground, start to deal with it, and he's got gas, by the way. That gas is he managed to grab 100 gas and get a speed upgrade on the way, and so he's just gonna keep making lings up here on the high ground and keep pooling lings. And he could go all in with this, try to kill. He's just getting a couple more probes, though. He can do basically anything from this point. Eventually, he will be able to get so many lings together that he can completely overwhelm this. With 3 hatches, it's a really strong position here. Queen bringing all the lings together. I think he's going to find a bunch of zealots here at his natural. Look at the surrounding. Absolutely wipes this out, and now he can just come over here and kill the zealots at the third base. If he can save the hatchery, it's almost over at that point. And yeah, there's still half health on this hatchery, and so he will get this around. You can see he's just going for the kill on this, but he will not get it, and I think Tyson is just likely going to have to tap out.
It's all that the Zergling harassing the main base was too much for Tyson to keep up with, manually targeting that hatchery and the Zerglings when necessary. He had like zealots chasing around 1 single Zergling at that third base for just such a long time. He could have easily killed that hatchery had he been a little bit more on top of that, but Queen just really going crazy with the harassment. He killed like 5 or 6 probes easily in the main base of Tyson and forced him to focus mainly on that rather than killing this hatchery at the third. And now the world is Queen's oyster. Like, Tyson kind of has to kill this hatchery at the third to make the game playable. And now that he's been unsuccessful in doing so and has speedlings to boot, I mean, there's not really any counterplay here for Tyson. He's been shut down in this game in pretty much every regard. And eventually Queen should run away with the game with this 3-base macro against just a 1-base delayed tech play from Tyson.
Yeah, you said something to me when I was worried about dealing with zealot plays and zealot harassment, is that you get to, as the Zergling player, you get to choose the time of the engagement, and you can see Queen has chosen the time of each engagement perfectly. He's delayed over and over again, and now he's got this overwhelming number of lings. Tyson is still doing a good job of controlling here, but it's just a numbers game at this point, and that's what you're waiting for until you have the overwhelming numbers where you just can't really lose, and then you take down all the zealots, and there it is. He gets rid of every single one of those and now can switch fully into drone production if he wishes. Take this into a longer game with tons of larvae popping out here on 3 hatches. It's pretty easy follow-up from Queen now.
Yeah, even with slow lings, you have a slightly faster movement speed than the zealots, so you dictate the pace of engagements and when they actually occur. So, I mean, as long as you don't make any mistakes as Zerg, you keep track of all the zealots that are out on the map and you don't get surprised by anything, you technically have the advantage and you should be able to overwhelm the zealot user, especially a long time before leg enhancements becomes relevant. And with speed upgrade as well, it just makes your quality of life that much higher, able to get surrounds easier, able to punish mistakes from the zealots much more effectively. You can see Queen really pull that off here in a big way and has really shut down this attempt from Tyson at trying to pick up a bit of an easy win, and is really paying the price. I mean, Queen is just running rings around him.
Yeah, the third base hold was a bit tight, but running around, just keep making links on that high ground, keep on pumping units and not missing any overlords. Eventually, he completely overwhelms that position. Now he's out here with some Hydras. He doesn't have to attack with this, though. There's no reason to throw away the advantage. Just keep these overlords alive. He can make another round of drones, go up to an extremely strong, 5-6 hatch Hydra. As Tyson is just getting his natural online, he's going to have that, really solid drone count. And there's almost not even a hope or a prayer of Tyson bringing this one back. And so he's going to attack across the map, but this is slow Zealots versus speed Hydras, and we know how that goes. He can just kite this back as long as he wants. Keep on sending lings across the map, and there it is. GG is called. We just saw, I think, one of the best examples of how to hold a 2 gateway Zealot attack. Like, it's something that everybody struggles with on the ladder. Everyone through, D rank all the way up to probably high B, maybe E or A rank. You're going to match a lot of people who play like that, but you hardly ever see pro players try that build. And so it's hard to know exactly what to do, but Queen just showed off perfectly the answer.
Yeah, I mean, the main thing, I think, is being aggressive with the initial 4 Zerglings. Like, you can afford losing a little bit of HP on your third hatchery. I mean, you can utilize that HP as a resource, as a time-saving device, and dictate when you're going to be engaging those Zealots eventually, or how you're going to be dealing with them. And being able to, play distraction with the Protoss player and force him to defend in his main base, that pins down those second and third Zealots for such a long time that the pressure just really isn't on the Zerg as much as it should be. And then it's Queen that's dictating the pace and the ebb and flow of the game from then on, and the Protoss player is the one that's on the back foot, desperately trying to execute his initial pressure-orientated play. And Queen just gave us an absolute masterclass in how to completely disrupt that.
What kind of play are we going to get out of JYJ? How is he approaching this matchup more recently, do you think?
I mean, it's a pretty Terran favored map for versus Zerg. I think it's more Queen that has to figure out how he wants to approach, and it's horizontal spawn, so this forward 8 racks is going to be really effective from JYJ. It's not like an all-in. He's going to float that back to his wall-in as well. One thing going for Queen is this Overlord Scout might be able to identify this early enough to be optimal in dealing with it. But, I mean, it's really hard to play against Terran on Deja Vu. I think it's pretty much JYJ just going to apply pressure and then do a more orthodox SK Terran style. It's going to be up to Queen how he navigates this early game defense and comes up with a game plan that's going to be solid enough to hold the timing attacks of JYJ, who I imagine is going to play pretty standard and straight up here.
Yeah, I would peg JYJ as more of a Marine medic player for sure. I don't see him do a lot of teched out plays, not many 2-port wraiths or mech plays. He is a pretty stock standard Terran player when it comes to versus Zerg. Likes to get those really sharp timings in there and can play a very big, long drawn out game. I don't really think of him as like a heavy dropship user either. Not like somebody like Sharp or Speed who just goes in there and like puts the pedal to the metal. He's much more reliant on science vessels, I think, and just getting that damage over time, slowly getting that value up. But for now, we've got the 8 racks activated. 5 drones have been pulled to the front here. A little bit of an under-commitment from Queen, but as long as he gets past these Marines and starts to stem the flow of reinforcements coming across the map, yeah, he will spread these out, getting to the other side. This is pretty nice play from Queen. But 3 Marines are here now, taking an engagement with these Marines now might be a mistake. He will pull back. That's a scary number. I've learned this from experience. Once there's 3 Marines there, then it gets real. So you have to start to back away. He is going to lose 1 drone here. Going to dive on the second Marine. Can he save that second drone? No. Second drone goes down, but the Lings are out now. Oh, the barracks finishes. That's pretty big. Can he block the Marines from getting in? He's going to block the Marines from getting in. Sick play from Queen. Oh my goodness.
Wow, that was tight as well. Like about as tight as you can get. I mean, really crazy early game trades from both sides. He did lose 2 of the drones, so I mean, JYJ, did the prerequisite amount of damage to make this early aggression somewhat worth it. The question is, can he hold the wall against the Lings now? He needs to commit at least 1 or 2 SCVs to holding that, or the Marines out the outside is not going to be good enough. Queen will be doing a lot of counter damage. Now this 8 racks has completely failed, and Queen will be in a very commanding position if he doesn't just straight up win here.
He didn't cancel.
These SCVs are completely exposed. Wow, he didn't even cancel the CC. Man, Queen gets a quick, easy win by punishing JYJ. That was so well done by Queen. It was such a big bait and switch. Like, oh, you're doing so well keeping my drones pinned out, and now you kill 2 of them for free. But it was all because it would just, give him an extra couple of seconds to get those Lings to get around the bunker and prevent the Marines from entering them in the first place. And then he could go on a very quick counter-attack before JYJ was even set up back at home. I mean, very well done from Queen, I would say. And JYJ is a Terran versus Zerg specialist, so that's quite impressive.
Very solid holds from Queen today. Hanging on in kind of spectacular fashion there versus JYJ. Managing to outplay that early 8 racks, doing exactly what he should, going around behind that and striking with the drones whenever the Marines are exposed. But JYJ made a bit of a mistake there by not sending those Marines back to the bunker as it was finishing, opened up himself to some punishment. Now, with Queen's quick win, he's going to be going up against Stork next, cross map on this map, Metropolis.
Yeah,
this is going to be a wild game. I mean, can you imagine Stork taking down Queen on Metropolis? It seems ridiculous. Like that would be a very tough bet to make.
Yeah, and he's going Gateway Expand cross map. I mean, I just don't like his chances in general. It's a very Zerg favored map, and at the pro level, someone like Stork, don't get me wrong, I really do love Stork. He's been one of my favorite Protoss players of all time. I was really supporting this guy back in the day. I absolutely adore this King of Silver. I mean, he just won't be able to hold a candle to Queen in this game, I don't feel. Queen used to be a versus Protoss specialist as well. Like at one point, he was looking like the Korean, the Zerg Flash in this matchup. He was almost unbeatable for about a year and a half at one point. He's not quite had that same level of dominance in recent times. I just don't think the caliber of Stork is going to be able to go toe-to-toe with someone like Queen here, especially on a map that Zerg will be able to exploit.
No, I agree. I agree for sure. Queen has been looking really solid. The early game shenanigans, I just don't think they're gonna fly with Queen in this game. He's gonna be able to hold on to everything and keep Stork off of his back. Stork is heavily reliant on these little sneaky plays, these little punishment plays, to kind of assist him in getting these big advantages later on, where he can out finesse his opponent rather than trying to out macro them. Now, dropping that pylon there at the 3rd, this is going to buy time for the Zealot to make its way up here, and so there's a chance he can block this. He does block the hatchery, and this is actually kind of big. He's trapped the drone over here on the side. 4 Lings now, but 1 Zealot and a probe. It's going to be hard for him to get on top of that. He will make the hatchery now, but it's been significantly delayed here, and this really didn't cost Stork much. So I like this from Stork. He's really handled this well.
No, this has been really good thus far, I'd say. And he does pick up the probe. That's Queen. 2 Zealots now joining the party. we'll be able to put a lot of damage onto that. Looks like Queen was anticipating this move from Stork. Has got an extra two pairs of Lings to try and wrap around and do a surround on those Zerglings. Pretty good micro from Stork thus far, though. Great juggling of those Zealots, while the third is making its way downtown as well. Queen might be in a little bit of trouble. He will be utilizing the HP on that hatchery like a resource, just to buy a tiny bit of extra production time, get an extra pair of Lings or two here to the fray. Although Stork really trying to apply pressure and force trades. Now, the weakened Zealot, though, kind of at the front, and does get targeted down by Queen. These two Zealots will fall in short order, and he will be able to clean this up pretty effectively. I like the idea here from Stork in delaying that hatchery. He's forced all the Zerglings as well with this initial Zealot pressure, but he's going to have to really macro like a monster to, you know, make up the difference the longer this game goes on. There was a lot of Lings that he forced out of Queen in total, so he's definitely in a pretty okay spot. He just has to macro flawlessly back at home from this point onwards.
A little surprised he didn't try to like tuck behind the gas guys or something like that, take a little bit of a better trade going onto the other side of the hatch or the top side and getting surrounded there. Negates some of the advantage that he had. Does he have a second Zealot on top? No, it's a probe just over top of the gateway. Oh, he's managed to click it. He managed to click the probe, but a second probe comes up. Very good control here from Stork. Super high level stuff there on both sides. Honestly, that was such a precise click that we saw from Queen, able to hit that probe at the top of the gateway, but likewise, Stork bringing up probes immediately, realizing that he needed that little bit of extra blocking there to keep himself alive. Dude, this is a great game already. Stork versus Queen is looking awesome.
No, I'm liking it so far. So, yeah, there was like literally like 2 pixels he could have clicked on to actually target that probe, and he found it pretty efficiently as well, I might add. Stork holding the line for the time being. It was a pretty big investment for Queen to make this many Zerglings this early on, but also equally did manage to kill quite a few of Stork's Zealots, so it will kind of equalize the power scaling for both players. And we actually might have a really good game on our hands as a result of that early shenanigans kind of going even when all said and done. I mean, Queen's doing a bit of a, you know, like a kind of like a double bluff 9-7-3 here, but this is mainly just to not actually attack. This is literally just to have a few Hydras to defend against Corsairs and not lose too many Overlords for free and what have you. He will be doing a macro game from this position, I imagine, but he's going to like kind of threaten the idea of some aggression, but really this is just to defend against the Corsairs, probably.
Yeah, I've been working on this play a little bit more lately. When the Protoss player's being super aggressive like that and you're forced to build a lot of Lings, it's just so hard to get the Spire on time, so hard to get enough gas to get things rolling and defend this Corsair, and just making that early decision suddenly, like, okay, we're not gonna get this on time, let's throw down another hatchery and get into some Hydras for the defense. Queen is just exemplifying that perfectly right here, how strong it can be. He did go for the Hydra Den before the hatchery, so he does need to get a little bit of work done here, try to force some more cannons and maybe get the wall in, get a kill on this wall, but it is kind of a bluff, like you were saying, with the Hydras. He's just getting this wall in and trying to get this damage going, and won't be able to take much more than that. 5 cannons should be enough to hold this with the number of Zealots that Stork has here at the front. He should be able to block everything up nicely. And we're going to see a bit of a transition out of Queen after the fact. I'm curious to see whether he'll follow this up by going into a lair and then a Spire and try to go, you know, full lair man and just try to overwhelm with the units and on lair. Coming out here right now, Zealots are moving forward. That's surprising. I thought he would for sure be waiting for speed before coming out here, but I guess he wants to try and save that upgrade if he can. There's the speed. Now it's time to move forward and try to take this fight. That's a lot better from Stork. It's not that he's going to necessarily win this fight, but he just needs to buy time for that +1.
Yeah, he's actually doing a pretty good job with this initial engagement. It's not the worst thing possible. Inversely, though, Queen did have a pretty good economy back home. This wasn't a traditional 9-7-3. He actually had like 5 or 6 drones mining at that third base. during the Hydra production phase, so he was able to throw down the 4th and 5th hatchery pretty crisply, and probably Stork only needed like 4 cannons there, but it's really hard to tell if the Zerg is actually going to commit to a Hydra bust or not. He could just pump non-stop Hydras at any moment and try and pull the trigger on that, so Stork hedged his bets, and he's a little bit behind schedule with his own gateway production, so Queen should be able to outmuscle him out on the map. And one of the problems with Metropolis is how tight these ramps are with the minerals blocking. You can kind of easily defend against Zealot pressure, but killing that Overlord is actually a pretty nice little pickup there, because he's got some DTs moving on the map. He supply blocked Queen. I mean, there's no Sunkens at these bases. If he doesn't make an Overlord at the 3rd, he's got all of his Overlords pulled at his natural, but if neither one of those eggs is an Overlord, Queen could be in trouble.
Yeah, the 9-minute Overlord at the 3rd, you have to make it. Let's see if Queen is strong enough. Yeah, he does. He does have that. It's just such a solid timing for the DTs to come over here, and without the early layer, you're not going to have that speed on the Overlords. This is a lot of damage. How many drones? 5 drones there? Very nice damage for those 2 DTs. Absolutely worth it there for Stork, who's going to be powering up and taking a bit of an advantage now. You know, really, Queen has to sit back here. He's relegated to just making drones right now, and Stork could easily take a 3rd. Alternatively, he could try to push here. Where are we at with the Spire? Did you see the Spire anywhere inside that base?
I have not, but he's taken 3 gases with 6 hatcheries, which is kind of indicating that he wants to make Mutalisks. So if there is a Spire, I imagine it is going to be... Okay, there's the Spire on the way. So I imagine it might be some kind of Mutalisk Hydra play here from Queen. I doubt it's going to be a normal Lurker transition from this position. Looks like he wants to kind of hold the line and buy enough time for, 10 Mutas to get out onto the map and start sniping these High Templars, but Stork is pushing the gas pedal all the way down to the floor, trying to play distraction with these Zealots and allow time for these High Templars to get into a favorable position to start storming against them as well. I mean, these Mutas are a long way away for Queen. He has to snipe these High Templars. Oh, there's a bit of a whiff of a storm, though. Nearly storms his own High Templar. Good, trying to get a morph of an Archon as a bit of an afterthought. Queen no-snipes one of those High Templars and has kind of thwarted this attack due to the slight miscontrol there by Stork. And with these 3 gases churning away, I do imagine it is going to be a potentially a massive Muta switch here from Queen to snipe any remaining High Templars later on.
These Zerg players, these pro Zerg players make it look so easy, man. He gets 4 High Templars across the map, and all he has is Hydras. He didn't even know those were coming. He still managed to dodge the storms really successfully here. Dark Archon to follow this up. Stork has such a nice read on what his opponent is up to. He hit that timing right before Mutas would be out. It's just Queen just dodges everything super nice. He handles the attack. He has enough Hydras to hold back the Zealots, and again, now back in a very good position. The Dark Archon may be able to get a huge Maelstrom that just shuts this play down, but I mean, there's still going to be so many Hydras to deal with. He's going to have a hard time hitting enough storms to make this fight work, and he's lost so many Zealots so far this game. Yeah, look at this. Mutas are going to be joining this fight, just helping to add on some damage. It actually does make a big difference here, guys, having those Mutas over your Hydras, just kind of hitting those Zealots as the fight's going on. And he's going to go ahead and chase down now. Does he have that Maelstrom? I don't think he's got the energy for it just yet.
Yeah, he's got like 80 or something, saying it's close, but no cigar. For the time being, he's going to start to shut out any attempt from Stork in getting this 3rd base online, at least for free. Like, he might allow Stork to take this 3rd base, but with a price, potentially. He will be relying predominantly on that Dark Archon to do some major heavy lifting if he does commit into 10 Mutas, and he is going to be going up to that, magical number of 9 or 10 Mutas, so we can start one-shotting these High Templars on the ground and taking this 4th base in the top left. It's a bit of a winning move here from Queen, as long as he can keep Stork off from that 3rd base attempt. He will have to go into Hive, but only once the 3rd base has been taken. He spots the Dark Archon with the Overlord. That's such a big move from Queen. Now we can bait out the the Maelstrom from the Dark Archon with just like a pack of 4 or 5 Mutas or something. And I mean, there's no real easy play now for Queen. As long as he tracks where that Dark Archon is, he can just circumnavigate it as well. To say the Dark Archon's at the third right now, he could hit the natural with his mutas and what have you. I mean, there's no easy play now for Queen. He's going to dive into the main base, actually, knowing that this Dark Archon is at the third. He's going to drive a wedge between the natural and the third with those Hydras as well, making it harder to transit that Dark Archon back to the safety of his natural to shut down this mutalist play. He's going to deny the mining in the main base, and Dragoons do not do well against straight up mutalist play. This is a really high level maneuver from Queen to shut out the unit flow from Stork, and he's not even trying to kill Stork right now. This is just to like cripple Stork and like get him hobbling as much as possible in this game while he's macroing back at home. This is some really high level stuff we're seeing from Queen.
Yeah, Queen's doing a great job here, running forward, going for a Dragoon or two. He does get one Dragoon, just a couple of Hydras traded out. +2, +1 is ready here for Stork, but he just doesn't have a good answer for these mutas. I mean, he's got the answer, but it's over at his third base, kind of defending right now. That Dark Archon not being very useful at the for the time being. There are some storms available. I'm surprised he's not using it. Dark Archon running up. He's going to go for the target fire on that. Can he kill the Dark Archon? He gets the Dark Archon. Huge kill there. That's such a big investment. And that Dark Archon goes down without even killing one unit. We're not even getting one Maelstrom off, not getting one spell off. There's a Storm, a Templar that goes down, a Storm Boy right beside those cannons, falls with full energy as well. And now Queen just going to town here in the main base, killing off as many probes as he can. The army is going out on the map right now. Stork, desperation counterattack time. We'll see if he can make anything happen with what he's put together.
Well, this is really amazing from Queen. Such high level play overall. I mean, there's nothing Stork can do but just go for a massive counterattack and hope for the best. And the Lurker transition is already online. He just has to borrow those Lurkers into good enough positions, and it'll be very hard for Stork to be successful in attacking into this. He might be able to just barely have a chance at breaking up onto this high ground at the third, but with these mutas here now as well, it'll be a little bit of a nightmare for Stork. He needs perfect storms. He's only like 3 or 4 High Templars in total, so every single storm has to be a money shot, and he does get one good storm thus far. He needs to somehow break up onto this high ground and shut down Queen, but he's not able to do so. There's just too much Zerg that has been mustered, and Queen was able to produce more than enough Lurkers during all of those shenanigans. And with the fourth base churning away on gas, there's just no real hope of breaking Queen, at least for the time being. And Queen can now transition into Hive and kind of just sit back and power up himself now. I mean, look at the supplies. He's almost 40 supply ahead of Stork. That's almost unheard of in this matchup. It's so hard to put yourself into these positions as Zerg, and Queen just makes it look so easy.
Yeah, this is the desperate counterattack of desperate counterattacks. The flank is coming in right now. Some storms get thrown down here at the rally point. He's going to cast the majority of those before the Hydra flank even comes through. Storms here at the flank. Can he actually get some good ones? He does get some pretty reasonable storms here on the left-hand side, but his Zealot forces are drying up. Got to bring all of these to the front, but Lurkers are here to start trading. +1 armor is done as well, and so we are going to see that transition. Looks like he threw down the Queen's Nest, but it didn't build. Maybe not enough money for that. Maybe the drone just said no. Sometimes that happens as well. Yeah, sometimes you have enough money and there's nothing blocking it, but the drone just doesn't build it. There we go. He does get it down.
Drone saying. He finally does get it. It's a
I would say that's a Saiyan drone right there.
Yeah, that's for sure. But I mean, it's okay. He's trading well enough. I mean, the Battle Zerg style is fine as long as, you know, you stop the fourth base going up, as long as you trade well. And Queen has done both of those things at a very masterful level. As long as he just forces a fight whenever Stork tries to come out onto the map or tries to take a fourth base, he can still make this style work. So those 2-1 upgrades as well to mingle in and do a good job of socializing with Stork and dominating him in any conversations that do end up occurring. And yeah, this predominantly Hydra Lurker style will still pay dividends for him. He's doing a lot of heavy lifting, and these Mutas coming in here and forcing some bad storms out of Stork here, and 2 High Templars have gone down as a result. There is not hardly any splash in this army besides 1 singular storm and a little bit of sonic shockwave splash from that Archon. It's not going to be enough to do the heavy lifting required to defeat Queen, and he's setting up a massive pincer maneuver. He's forcing a frontal engagement from Stork here on the eastern flank, and he's going to wrap around with so many Hydras from the left flank now and just absolutely bowl over this army of Stork. It hasn't got much hope of getting back to safety before the majority of those Dragoons have been eviscerated. This is just a very high level masterclass of a Zerg versus Protoss from Queen, and definitely something to study.
Yeah, this all comes down to that one attack, right? When Stork was going across the map with all those High Templar, things can get so hairy in a situation like that. The DTs did a great job. They slowed things down, and the follow-up was really solid, but the micro from Queen this game has been next level, dodging storms and sniping High Templars over and over again, and the Mutas added insult to injury. Now, containing Protoss on 3 bases, it's really going to be just 1 base here in a moment as that natural starts to run out. He's managed to cobble together an army, and 2-2 is done, so he's going to try and push forward a little bit here, but the concave is irredeemable. How do you push through this? He's going to go ahead and kill a couple of lurkers at the front line, but as soon as he steps just a little bit further forward, the Hydras spill forward, and these Dragoons are just going to get gunned down so darn quickly. Not enough storm in this army for Stork, and he's going to start to fizzle out here on 93 supply to 158. It's the writing on the wall here for Stork.
Yeah, it's an untenable position to say the least. He doesn't even need Defilers to close this deal, although he will be able to go into Defilers if he needed to. He set up a massive kill box outside this natural choke of Stork. As soon as Stork tries to lurch forward and get out of this contain, he will be absolutely devoured by the armada of a force that Queen has been able to muster. Just look at how many units are pouring across the map. It's absolutely insanity right now. There's almost no hope for Stork for winning this game unless every single storm was perfect and Queen just allowed his units to be eviscerated by that splash damage and never once tried to storm dodge or what have you. Pretty good storm on the eastern flanks of these units. There's some Dragoons to do some heavy lifting. There's just too much cost efficiency needed to break out. He needs to trade at like an 80% efficiency rating to be able to break out from this and take a 4th base right now. Even Scourge going to be sniping the observers to delay the advancement of Stork and prevent him from ever breaking out and having hopes of taking a 4th base. Queen starting to hammer in a couple of nails into the coffin a bit prematurely here, and I think Stork might be wanting to lay himself down for a long rest soon, because I can't even imagine how tired he would be trying to win the game from this position.
Yeah, this is about as over of a game as I've ever seen. This is a fantasy GG timing, if I've ever seen one. 70 supply behind at this point, and another base goes up for Queen, pushing forward even further, and that natural is now mined out. It's 1 base mining to what, 5? With the almost fully maxed out Zerg players. So we're going to see the tap out here as this next force comes forward. All that blue goo gets spilled here on the ground, and now he's going to see cracklings in the mix as well. That's got to be it. GG. Stork taps out. Queen takes yet another victory. Here we go. Radeon, the new version, the ASL 20 preliminary version here. I'm sure that's what we're playing on today. With Speed spawning in the bottom left, Queen in the top right. I think the only changes that have been made are to the mineral lines. I believe it was top left and bottom right, but I can't quite remember. Or is it top left, top right? Was changed to make it a bit harder for cannon rushes to be effective. They made it so that Lings can at least slip by on both sides to kind of defend against that.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe we can do a bit of a deeper dive on the ASL maps as they get more and more changes made to them. I imagine like this isn't the final set of maps and changes until ASL starts. I imagine there'll be a few adjustments made along the way as well. Who knows exactly how these maps will morph ever so slightly. But Radion's been one of the kind of tried and true maps we've had in the map pool for a long time now. It's such a standard map, and even though it does have the longest rush distances out of all of the maps, cross distance by 38 seconds, worker distance ramp to ramp on those cross positions, has been giving us some of the best games and more balanced games, I would say, overall.
Yeah, there's been a lot of great games here. I'm sure that we're going to get a solid one out of Speed versus Queen. This cross map situation just leaves a lot of open area to take advantage of, and it's hard to do something like a quick all-in here, get across the map and, you know, do like a 2-hatch muta, or try to get in with a 2 racks academy rush timing, something like that. It's just such a long rush distance that players are much more likely to take this longer, and I think we're going to see an explosive mid-game between these two, which should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm curious to see which one of these two will be going on to face up against Snow next. Snow currently one of the highest rated players in terms of his recent results. He's just been very solid lately. I'm sure a lot of people are highly regarding Snow with his recent results in Pro League and how well he played in ASL. I can't imagine that these guys will have an easy time against Snow. So this could still be a Protoss victory week, even though we've got a Terran versus Zerg showdown currently. We'll have to wait and see how that pans out. Speed, you know, he's pretty good in this matchup, and he's one of the fastest players, kind of true to his moniker. He doesn't seem to have any sign of slowing down the majority of the time. He's playing at 400 to 500 APM at almost all points of the game. So he definitely can go toe-to-toe with someone like Queen and really keep the pressure on. Doing a lot of juking and jiving on the SCV, just dancing around. Kind of try and like break the ankles of that drone and maintain distance. Queen getting a little bit frustrated and going to be pulling out a second drone to guarantee shutting that down. So he doesn't know whether or not this will be a fast den for a 2-hatch lurker or a spire, but he kept the SCV long enough to be pretty sure it's not going to be a den.
2.5 hatch build has begun here for Queen. He's delaying his spire a little bit to get that faster hatchery out, but he should be throwing that down in a second. Oh, it's so annoying having the drones dance on top of each other like that. Slow down his spire a little bit, actually. It's because of those drones, and now he will get that going.
Counts.
Every second counts, man. It's so important to get that going right away, but here Queen gonna be delayed slightly. May have to build quite a few Lings or Sunkins in order to hold back Speed for the time being.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fast academy from Speed here. Wants to put on a lot of pressure. I mean, this is 3 racks before Engineering Bay, if I'm seeing this right, Sam. This is some pretty hyper aggression out from Speed. He might want to try and pull the trigger on maybe doing some damage in the natural before the mutas have just popped out, and then have enough production behind it to hold the line against the counterattack of Queen as well. Marine stimming preemptively before the Sunkins are even starting to morph. He might get quite a lot of drone kills here, at the very least forcing a loss of mining time. Queen in a little bit of a scramble, going to try and surround these Marines with some Lings and drones, but Speed doing a pretty good job of killing the majority of those Zerglings. Hasn't got that many drones, but he's forced a lot of lost mining time out of Queen and killed a drone or 2. When all said and done, this wasn't game-ending damage, but it does hiccup the amount of Mutalisks that Queen will be able to produce to go on the offensive now. And with those 3 barracks early, from Speed. I mean, he's going to have a pretty sizable count of bio to keep those mutas out of his base.
Ooh, that was a solid drone drill from Queen. Really, really good. I'm not sure exactly how he pulled that off. I think he went to the bottom patch, to the main, and then to the natural of Speed quickly to get those drones on top of...
Or the third gas at the 12 o'clock, maybe.
That's possible as well. Get them on top of those Marines, and he managed to make them dance just a little bit, making it so that he didn't lose too many drones. Following it up with an Evolution Chamber. Crazy Zerg follow-up here on Radeon. Wow, this is going to be very interesting from Queen, dude. This is something else. And we're going to see, these two builds clash. 3 racks before eBay. How's it going to fare against a very quick Evolution Chamber from Queen?
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to wait and see. This could be a crazy Zerg play from Queen. Who knows? So we got four turrets set up in the natural. It's pretty good at stopping too much damage over a long period of time. I mean, you can handle like 1 or 2 turrets shooting your mutas. Oh, he does scan and see that Evolution Chamber. That's a big read from Speed. Yeah, very big tell from him now. As long as he doesn't lose too many of these SCVs, he's going to be feeling pretty comfortable. If you've got like 2 or 3 turrets shooting your mutas, eventually that long bolt missile damage does start to stack up, and you can't, keep the harassment going long term. But Queen's still kind of, on the edge of those turrets. Only 2 of them really firing at any given time for the majority of that harassment, and he does kill quite a lot of the SCVs of Speed, as well as deny some mining time. Speed wants to go on the offensive, maybe force a bit of a reaction out of Queen here, make a few extra sunkens and pull the mutas back from harassing his SCV line. I like this aggressive play from Speed. It's really trying to put Queen on the back foot here, but Queen seems to have the answer in terms of transitioning into a Crazy Zerg style build, because it means that making extra sunkens is what you'd probably do anyway.
Yeah, that's quite a few sunken colonies. Will it be enough to hold back Speed? He's not got like a quick +1 or anything like that to try and break through. 4 sunken colonies is a lot. And he busts this. Muta's popping out here. Who's just gonna run past? Oh my god, just running straight up into the main. Oh gosh, this is crazy from Speed, but there's enough mutas here, I think, to hold on to everything. He should be able to pull these together. Couple of mutas are gonna fall, and the drones will probably have to fight, but 3 Marines eventually can take this out. Yeah, he will fight with the drones. There's the mutas, like 4 or 5 drones go down, but this is still a big cleanup here, and Queen can reproduce these drones quite quickly on 3 hatch.
Yeah, I love the old school thinking here from Speed. This is something you'd probably pull off on like a map like Destination, where the natural is so wide open and there's 2 bridges point of entry. It's not really orthodox though in the modern meta to go for a run by like that. You can see why sometimes it just gets shut down by the Mutalisks as an afterthought. But if Queen was a little bit less prepared for that, didn't have as many mutas hatching out of those eggs to shut that down, he could have lost a lot more drones as a result. It looks like Queen's in a pretty good position for the time being. He's going to try to do some counter damage now. The floating factory makes it a little bit easier to defend against this. Speed already did have some bio units in position to stop too much harassment from occurring, and Queen's third base is a little bit delayed when all's said and done, so I still say the power scaling isn't too much against Speed, but the longer this goes on, I feel like Queen is going to start running away with the game more and more.
Speed here has his first science vessel out. Not enough energy or that upgrade to drop the irradiate here just yet, so he kind of has to hold this by keeping his Marines at this front. Lots of pickups there. Queen taking a little off the top, cleaning up some of that bio, and there's the first irradiate. It's actually going to do quite well, dealing a good chunk of damage. But Queen not finished with this. He's just going to come right back in. Pretty good split from him. Allows these mutas to continue being relevant.
Yeah, he knows like Speed wants to be hyper aggressive still in this game. He needs to shave off as much of that bio as he can. He hasn't got the natural taken in the top left to sunken that up and defend, so you'll have to predominantly rely on Mutaling to do the heavy lifting in the defense of that third base. So he's keeping the bio count as low as he can so that when Speed does eventually push out, You can rely purely on, you know, the Nidus Canal connections and some mutiling cleanups out on the map to hold the line, or at least buy time for those Ultralisks to start popping out and what have you. And if you can force out a couple of irradiates as well onto those mutas, it will really slow down the efforts from Speed in being able to deal with Queen. Speed's just going to pull the trigger on moving out right now. There's a big array of those Mutalisks. He's not splitting those at all. That is maximum damage, though. A big run by of Zerglings trying to get on top of the Terran production. And again, siphon up as much of the reinforcements of the Terran as possible. But there's a massive force moving into that top left pocket. The Nidus Canal is finished almost at one end, but not the other. It takes a long time for that to actually finish morphing. So Speed has a timing now to maybe knock out this base in the top left and put himself into a commanding position. Queen has done a good job of killing the majority of the forces at the production line, though. A lot of firebats being mortared. He does kill that Nidus Canal. Sunkens can't be made on top left. Speed should be able to knock out that base in the top left. Queen has to go for a lot of counter damage now and start to attack Speed and try and keep this snowball going and keep the bio count as manageable as possible, because now only 2 gases worth of production. It's going to be a lot harder for that crazy Zerg to come online.
You're gonna go into the natural here. Should be able to kill the Firebat and Marine there at the natural, but the bunker is gonna live. Too many Firebats being made here, and Queen is just filtering in with Lings, losing a lot of those as he tries to desperately throw himself at this Terran natural, try to get some damage done. +3 armor is here, but the Ultras just having that chitinous plating, no +2 carapace just yet, is a huge break point. And Queen, he just has no gas. 100 gas in the bank to make Ultras right now. There's almost nothing he can do at this point.
I just want to say that, like, I like Queen, but he's not the best crazy Zerg user. And now we got a radiated eraser trick coming in. There's no burrow to stop this as well. That's a lot of drone damage. And even the Nidus is in the main base, so they can't evacuate. I mean, this is a massive oversight from Queen. I don't even know what to say about that. Queen is just not a great crazy Zerg player in general, especially when you compare him to likes of Sulky in action. And you can really see that being abused by Speed here. He's going to eventually take out those vessels on the exit, but the damage has already been done. Queen's last remaining hope is those upgrades paying off in a big way. He did get 2 evolution chambers early on, so he will have the Kaiser Blades weapons upgrades to double chomp through with that 4-1 upgrades on those bioforces, regardless of +2 armor as well. But as long as Speed can just muster a sizable army of like 8 to 10 racks worth of production, he can get on top of Queen still. Queen trying to kill this bioforce while he still can. Medic's kind of blocking this up a little bit, making it hard to trade efficiently, but Queen has a lot of Ultras already to do heavy lifting. This is so annoying from Speed, though, to get behind there with those Ultras is almost impossible. He's going to just evacuate and not even attempt to do that. No third base from Queen is even being attempted to being taken right now. What a crazy game we're having, Sam.
Well, Speed can just sit here and wait for Queen to take one. Just you hear the scans going out over and over again. That's him checking for bases. The moment that one ends up getting taken, Speed can begin angling to destroy that. Ultra's going to come up here again, but Marines run back behind this mineral line and just not able to take that engagement. Queen going to run back home. He does get 1 vessel, but look at how choked up Speed is making the natural now. He's adding on a bunch of supply depots into that natural, and he's preparing for an all-out counterattack with the Ultras. It's not going to come here just yet, but I mean, there's no way Queen's managed to get that +3 carapace as well, right? With everything that's gone on in this game, with all this craziness that's happened, there's almost no way he can afford to get that. And even if he can, he's not going to have enough Ultras to take advantage of it.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I mean, I think that Queen should be double expanding, though. I don't agree with Queen only taking this base on the top left. You have to double expand against SK Terran when you're going crazy Zerg like this. You want to force the Terran to be out of position and use one of those expansions as a bait base and then go on a counter attack once the Terran is out of position. He's allowing Speed to consolidate all of his forces into one location and be leveraged against the Ultra Ultralisk, which is definitely a mistake from Queen. He has a lot of sharking around Scourge to try and intercept these vessels, which is a great play. He's going to catch a few of them there. That's a great pickup from Queen. But if he gets too many Irradiates to soften up these Ultralisks, that's also going to be a bit of a nightmare for him. He has got an upgraded advantage for the time being. Has that sunken wall as well, but if Speed can just find this third base and shut it down again and again, it's going to be impossible for Queen to win this game. He can also just, you know, contain the rally point of Queen and keep all of his bio in one massive ball here. And when Queen does try to break out, it's going to be a bit of a nightmare for him. He might even go for a sunken bust here. He's definitely could if he wanted to. The Ultras are waiting to wrap around from the backside, though. It'd be better for him just to contain Queen and not actually pull the trigger on a sunken bust attempt. Hope Speed doesn't potentially risk throwing the game in this situation. He's already in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, he just needs to find out about top left. Queen did put down a hatchery at bottom right as well, trying to get double expansion going, but it immediately got found out by Speed. Here comes a counterattack into the natural. Does eat a couple of irradiates, though. That's going to take a real toll on this Ultralisk army. He's running away here, trying to avoid any more irradiates, but looks like those science vessels are going to find this, and the Ultras, okay, they don't actually get irradiated here at the end. There's still a bit of health on those, but Queen is desperate to get this extra base online. 16 minutes in, Shun. No third base. That's wild.
Yeah. He's going to try and first focus on getting the sunken set up towards the ramp location to secure that Nidus as well going up. Queen is so desperate to secure that base. He hasn't even actually taken the geyser yet. He knows he just needs to morph sunkens, get the Nidus canal set up, and then start taking the gas. He's got a counter-attacking force going to natural third. There's already a bunker and some bioforce already stationed there. Nidus Canal about to be finished, though. Can start to pop out some Ultralisks to defend that base. Will the medics be able to body block enough to stop that from being a fruition for Queen? And he's kind of choked up right now, and he's got a lot of bios starting to come up this ramp. The Sunkens aren't in optimal positions. They are helping out, but not necessarily ideal. And a lot of the Radiates starting to come down. Queen, though, does have just barely enough Ultralisks to bully back these forces. D-Matrix finally comes out on that fire bat a little bit belatedly, but Queen should be able to bully back this force from coming out into this base. There's a lot more reinforcements, though, trickling up on that vertical lane. Actually, it's looking more and more like Speed might be successful in reinforcing this army and making its way into that main base, slowly but surely threatening knocking this base out yet again.
You can see the difference between Mong and Speed in this game. Look at him targeting down the Scourge as they try to get on top of this. We saw it in such an insanely tight game. Mong not able to target down Scourge to save his Valkyrie, which he desperately needed to live. Here, he doesn't even need to save these vessels, but he's targeting these down anyway. Is keeping that vessel count high. Now, finally, there's going to be some connections, but it's way too late. The bio just endlessly pushing up to top left. You can see that parade push moving in towards this position and eventually breaking through, smashing that base and preventing Queen from going forward. Wow, this is awesome, guys. We've got Hero, Snow, and Speed left, and Hero's going to be that final boss. Speed versus Snow is coming up next. I love to see it. Speed on his A game, able to take down Queen there, but Snow on Eclipse. That's gonna be a tough call. That is a tough sell here for Speed.
I mean, he has been known to do some shenanigans to, like, you know, avoid that gas being stolen. Sometimes you can just put like an SCV blocking the ramp and what have you, but I mean, yeah, it's a very crazy map to be against Snow on. Like, even if you do somehow get away with your gas not being stolen, his Reaver control on this map, as well as making it harder for you to take your third base like it should be, it's just not much you can really do as Terran to overcome those odds against a player of Snow's caliber. I mean, Speed might be a worthy adversary for him, but I don't like his chances at all. And he will attempt to steal this gas of Speed with this early probe move out. Doesn't look like Speed has elected to try and block his ramp or anything just yet. Okay, oh, okay, no, he's not going to try and block the ramp. So he will just be allowing that to occur, and will be a bunker expand-esque style from him, probably.
Yeah, here comes the gas steel. You can see the minerals are just a little bit higher for Snow right now, and you should be able to go ahead and snag that. Speed just gonna let it happen, not canceling his SCV or anything like that to get a cheeky gas geyser out. Just gonna open bunker expansion and play by the beat of Snow's drum, at least for the time being.
Yeah, Speed, a bit of a Tame Impala fan, has learned to let it happen in this situation, and will try and optimize as a result. I mean, some players are comfortable playing bunker expand. There is another option. You could make a second barracks, either hidden or just directly in your main base, and put on a lot of pressure. If this was a Nexus first, you might be able to punish that, but actually this is going to be a safe Nexus first from Snow. He's made a single gasless gateway, and then we'll be taking the Nexus as a bit of an afterthought here. Wants to have a bit of an insurance policy by being able to produce a Zealot early on. This will also stop an eBay block from being really hyper annoying as well. Having that first Zealot to shut down something like that coming out from Speed is always a good option. So if you want to be safe as well as avoid shenanigans, this is a great way for Snow to open.
Yeah, Snow's even gonna bully away this SCV and send the Zealot across the map. Oh! Ooh, losing the probe there. That's something else. He's gonna be able to come down and get the bunker going here on the low ground as well, killing off this assimilator. It seems like Speed's gonna walk that line between bunker expansion and getting that gas geyser online. The Zealot, first Zealot making its way forward here. The oh my gosh, no, get inside. Oh my god. Oh, Speed, he hopped the SCV into the bunker to keep it alive. He managed to save that, but loses the Marine in response. Not a great situation here, but he will get into the bunker, and it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, I mean, against someone like Snow, you obviously want to have as high of morale as possible, as well as every Marine that you can, muster. And yeah, you're right. He's going to be doing a bit of a Mong-esque style bunker expand, which is essentially, a slightly earlier gas, so that you're not waiting for your factories as long. You can start one factory a little bit ahead of schedule and have the second one kind of spaced out, as opposed to building like two factories around about the same sort of time to play catch up. Two Zealots might go for a run by here. They could kill the SCV building if they wanted to, but it's just a bit of an investment. You're losing a lot of shields to pull something like that off, and he decides against it. But Speed going to be forcing him to pay the price of those shields regardless. Comes out with the first 4 Marines. Good micro here from Speed. He's put a lot of damage onto one of those Zealots already.
Yeah, managing to push that back pretty effectively. Second factory going to be started here shortly, and Speed going to be transferring these SCVs over in just a moment. Snow following up robotics facility. Not a surprise there. We'll likely see some Reaver shenanigans here, but I'm curious as to how Speed's going to try to play this out. Eclipse is such a difficult map, and taking a quick third base, it can be a real challenge. So doing something like a 4 factory really early to try to put on the pressure can be tempting. However, Snow is just so good with the Reaver. You really do need a lot of commitment to anti-air to get rid of that shuttle and eventually push. It's just the same sort of things that work against other Protoss players, just not going to really work against Snow.
Right, you're kind of railroaded into going for something like a 5 factory play. Not even to necessarily attack the Protoss, but literally just to have enough units to take that third base when the time comes. And obviously, with the forced cross positions, something like a 5 factory push doesn't have as much steam as it could have potentially on going on the offensive as well. So there's no real easy answers here for the Terran player. Trying to slip this SCV into the map. I'm actually kind of surprised that SCV makes it into the main base, saying kind of crazy that he also missed that final coin flip. Gets a pretty good scout off on the timings of what might be happening next in the coming phase of the game. I like Speed's ambition here, and it is starting to pay off a little bit for him. He definitely needs the stars to align to deal with someone like Snow efficiently, and seems like he's got a lot of confidence going forward.
Gets rid of that Zealot, not bad, and keeps the Vulture alive so that he can look to throw down some mines at some of these other bases. But Snow takes a very quick third base. Look at that, 6 minute 30 third base is on the way already. This is punishable, potentially. You know, we don't even have, I think, a robotic support bay yet. Maybe that's placed down somewhere. I haven't seen it, but I think he's really cutting here to get this third base out, and Speed sees it right away. Are we going to see a potential four factory push? He's adding on a turret ring right now, so that might not be the case.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what Speed wants to go for here. I did think it was going to be something like a 5 factory, but it could just be 4 factories to try and take his third as well. Oh, needs to be careful. 2 volleys do one-shot tanks with 4 Dragoons. Oh, please don't lose a second tank. He does lose a second tank. 2 Dragoons for 2 tanks is a trade that Protoss players will make any time of day. And he now finally has that support bay finished up, and we'll be putting on some pressure with the Reavers, but the Reavers' main job is just to slow down and sandbag any timings from the Terran player. He's trying to now push out onto the map just before the Reaver can be produced by Snow, and is hoping that he can do a lot of heavy lifting, but losing those first 2 tanks, he doesn't really have that critical 5 tank timing he was looking for anymore, and now he's in a lot of trouble. Another tank going down to the phase disruption shots of those Dragoons as well. As long as Snow micro as well here and keep shuffling around with these Dragoons, it's going to be really tough for Speed to find anything with this.
Yeah, this is rough, man. He does have to do something here. Snow is getting away with a lot of greed. He does have the Reaver out now, though, and has the tools necessary to shut this down. Dragoons are going to come in behind the army and start to flank this. Can Speed get rid of that Reaver? It's so hard to actually pick that off. The Snow is so adept with it. He does get some pretty good shots off, and he gets the mine connection there. Mine connection is pretty big. These mines are going to go off as well. He may have siege mode here shortly. Great hits on that Reaver, but the mine, oh, the mine kills so many SCVs, and of course that tank as well. Only 1 tank left over, and I doubt he'll be able to get too much more damage here, although the Reaver is very low.
Yeah, just 2 more arc-light cannon shots, and that would take it out of 1 siege shot. Also, there it goes. He gets the siege tank shot on it. The shot cannon does pay off. Suddenly Snow relegates just 1 single Reaver now as the second one is just popping out. Vulture's trying to get into the natural expansion, laying down some mines in the wake so he can kill some probes. Big compensation now starting to tick Speed's way, and this contain is not yet done as well. He needs to start producing turrets or something to help support this contain if he wants to maintain this position. He's not doing so. Reaver dropped on top of the tank, going to be taking it out, as well as the SCV. No more production of turrets can occur. Speed relegated to just trying to utilize mines in the wake of these Dragoons to find some kind of hopeful connections. Hasn't been successful in doing so. Did kill quite a lot of probes in that natural, as well as denying mining time. But when all said and done, Snow's still sitting reasonably pretty here.
Can he hop over with the nice Vulture mine placement? He really needs some more compensation. Needs to get something else going here, but he will be forced back, sitting on 70 supply, only a few tanks in the natural. A couple in the main here as well for that defense. Snow going to be able to push out and possibly take a 4th base now. He's got full map control, and it's up to Speed to decide what to do next.
Yeah, he's going to keep a few active Vultures out on the map to maybe threaten the idea of a run-by, or actually execute a run-by if Snow was hyper-aggressive right now. Snow looking for potential damage on threading a needle with that speed shuttle into the main base. Doesn't find anything yet. Has some Dragoons as a hit squad ready to pounce on top of the natural as well. There's only 1 siege tank in the natural. These Dragoons could potentially punish that, and with the Reaver coming to support, that would be big. There were 2 Vultures doing a run-by successfully into the natural expansion, killing a few extra probes, as well as denying more mining time. This isn't the worst possible situation here for Speed. But these are still units that he's losing, which means there's less defenders back at home, less units available to him to push out and take his own 3rd base. And meanwhile, Snow going to be leapfrogging ahead of the curve in this game by getting a pretty crisply timed 4th at 11 minutes.
Speed looks like he's going to rely on a drop to equalize things. If he's not able to get big damage with this, he may just fall short here. He may just sputter out of this game. Speed will not have an easy time pushing out against what's been brought forward here by Snow. He sends a Vulture down to bottom right, though, and that Vulture really helps him out. It actually gives him vision on that Zealot, and he manages to circumvent the vision of the Observer as well. So he could come in here, completely catch Snow unawares, but with the Reavers out, I think we're going to see Snow just react immediately to this tank. Siege up over here. Can he get some big hits? 2 kills so far. Might be able to get a few more here with the next arc-light cannon shot. No, he targets, unfortunately, onto something like the tank, maybe the Dragoon there. He gets one more shot off. So about 4.
2 more probes for a total of 4. Yeah, we got 4 there.
Plus maybe 3 or 4 at the main base there with the Vultures. I still don't think it's enough, but another dropship coming in. Dude, Speed is desperate right now to get something done.
I mean, it's looking okay. He just needs to keep it going. Like, he can't maintain the position and be completely fine. The problem is this. Oh, he actually does just barely sneak out of the range of that cannon. Really nicely done by Speed. He's really starting to stretch the task switching ability of Snow. He's got a Zealot trying to make its way to get on top of that tank in the second base. But this is really well done from Speed in terms of the overall harassment that's being levied against Snow to keep himself alive in this game and keep the pressure going, even as a Vulture in this dropship to try and bully this Zealot. That's the single defender here. Needs to be careful. He tries to lay a mine, but with good target firing, Snow does deal with that attempt. It's nice ideas here from Speed. This would work on the ladder and crush some face, but against someone like Snow, he's keeping up with the insanity and we'll be able to deal with this. He's killing his own pylon to get his Dragoons in as an afterthought to force that Zealot, force that Vulture out from the picture and not get constant probe damage in his own third base. But I mean, this is really impressive from Speed. It's just not necessarily going to win him the game. It's just giving him some lifeblood going forward. He needs to move out right here, right now to have any chance.
Understandably, he's been supply blocked at 132 for quite some time, doing all that micro. At the same time, trying to macro behind it is a difficult sell here. He's going to dive forward. Big reverse shots as he moves out of his natural, as expected. Snow getting excellent trades as this force comes forward. Big splash onto those Vultures, and there's a very good chance that he can bowl this over now as it starts to push forward. Only +1 being done. Third base is being made here at 14 minutes, Shun. And Snow's third base was on curve. It's not like he was massively slowed down as well.
Right.
So there's a lot of heavy lifting that was that had to be done by that drop. Was the drop effective enough to slow things down? He's actually split his army quite heavily. Here's some storms going down. The tanks are actually still alive, though, and the Dragoons are trading straight up with tanks. Dude, this trade is insanely good for Speed. It's actually keeping him in this game.
He actually did a good target fire on the Templar as well. He's only successfully getting 1 storm off, not a follow-up storm. Really great target firing from Speed. A bit of a mistake from Snow to try and go in there with the Dragoons at the rally point location. Speed suddenly has a chance at taking his third base and starting to lean on Snow while growing himself, which is Starcraft 101. There's another storm, but it's not on weakened tanks. Needs a follow-up storm to close their kills out, and it does manage to find that. Pretty good storms thus far, but Speed, he's in a position where he has a little bit of momentum now, and suddenly Snow on the back foot. If somehow he can be active with these Vultures as well, laying down mines in this wedge formation between the natural and the third. Reavers, though, still being utilized and slowing down the advancements of Speed. The bit of finesse, Snow can still make this work. Speed for a second there looked like he was in a very commanding position, but seems like a little bit of that steam has been diminished.
Yeah, that was scary for a moment. He was even on supply with Snow for just a few seconds there, but right as he was trying to push forward, the Reavers get the big damage, and Speed is forced back. Now 5th base is up and just about to be mining here for Snow. Looks like he hasn't set up the full wall of probes, or of pylons, excuse me, so the Vultures can slip up here. Playing some mines down behind this. Nice. Getting some connections on a few of these Dragoons. He actually gets the kills there. And so he will be able to raid this Nexus successfully. while setting up his third and potentially stretching up to a fourth. He actually has to take a fourth now because his third or his natural and main are going to mine out soon, and he can't just maintain on one base against this Protoss player. Oh, and the Reavers coming in here right now is such a pain. Plus a DT as well, going to get on this ramp and start to block things. This is super frustrating for Speed to deal with.
Yeah, this is like some special forces tactics here from Snow. Really high-level stuff. So the Vultures have a lot of chance of getting up at the rally point and killing some of the High Templars that are kind of somewhat exposed, but being shut down this much in his third base is really problematic for Speed. He's having such a hard job getting this mining base online and operational. Look at how much damage these Reavers are doing from Snow. It's kind of insanity how much value. 13 kills and 17 in total. Kills another tank for a total of 21 kills. I mean, make that 22 now, and just ramping up more and more. It's insane what he's able to do with these units. He's going to lose the command center. He doesn't lift the command center. Suddenly Speed is in a world of hurt, saying without that command center to mine from at that base, I don't even know how he wins this game now.
Dude, losing the command center to a Reaver is crazy. That is absolute insanity. I can't believe that just happened. Speed, he's gonna go for a desperate counterattack, but the writing is on the wall here. He had a moment where things were starting to go his way, but now the Protoss army is diving on top of the back line. Storms and Zealots ripping everything apart. This is looking completely one-sided, and GG is called. Speed taps out, and Snow will go into that final game versus Hero.
We got a crazy showdown coming up, saying kind of blown away, honestly. Like, I mean, I expected Snow to beat Speed, but it's almost hard to believe when you see Snow's Reavers in operation. Like, no one handles those units quite as good as he does. It's not just his control of the Reavers, it's the shuttles, because they have inertia. Pretty much every flying unit in the game, you know, kind of drifts around unless you control it manually. And it's harder to scoop up those Reavers and plop them down again if you don't manually control those shuttles nonstop.
All right, our final game of the night. Snow over here in the top right versus Hero. This should be an absolute banger. We've had a lot of great games today, Shun. A lot of unexpected and wild results. And that last game was no different. Double dropship follow-up there from that bad position. Almost landed Speed in a good enough position to take down Snow. It was looking kind of close there for a moment, but the Reavers, man. If only you could successfully and consistently use Reavers some way in PvZ, I think Snow would be the best player in the world.
Yeah, no, I think so. I'm curious about the name of Hero right now. His name is Chobo Dari, but I mean, Chobo means basically beginner or novice, and Dari means bridge in Korean. So I'm curious, like, is he calling himself the novice bridge? Like, if you want to learn how to play the game, like, I'm the bridge, you know, you follow me and I show you the way to becoming a Hasu or a Gosu player? Or is he saying that he is a bridge that is Chobo? I don't know if he's calling himself a Chobo or he's saying that he's the teacher of Chobo, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, that one's a mystery to me as well. I thought that maybe it was a diss on one of the other players. There's a female player named Darren.
Okay.
Maybe he's making fun of her. I'm not sure, but we've got Snow here opening in top right with a Nexus first, Shun. Nexus first going up against this 12 hatchery. This is some balls, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, if Hero was going for something like a 9 pool or a 5 pool, could potentially just shut this down right away. As a result of this being a hatchery first, though, Snow going to be enjoying a comfortable lead going forward, and there's no counterplay to this. You're essentially just playing from behind. If somehow he scouted this early, he could go for 3 hatchery before pool. He just no way of him really identifying this early on, unfortunately, unless you were doing something like a crazy 9 scout or what have you. Yeah, so it's going to be a little bit of a deficit for Hero to make up when all's said and done. And he's even making, Forge Gateway Cannon after that Nexus as well, so optimizing himself. Ooh, an in-base macro hatchery from Hero. This is interesting. So if he blocks the ramp now and doesn't allow this probe to get back inside, he could go for a pre-storm timing attack here and maybe try and bust open this position either with a Ling Flood or just a Hydra build, but the probe almost getting into the main base. Will the Ling stop it?
All right, he manages to turn that around. Pretty big moment there. Preventing the scout in the main. For sure, don't want to allow that extra macro hatch to be scouted. Hiding the build a little bit here, it just makes all the difference in the world. There could have been a gas already. There might be a layer started here, and kind of looks like some sort of 2-base play from Snow's perspective, but this is going to be, a very quick 4 hatch, most likely in the Hydra play, and like you said, possibility of a big bust here pre 9 minutes.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a bust. This is essentially just 4 hatcheries before gas. It's a very strong macro build as well. Like, you could go up to a very high count of drones and just try and macro his way forward. But he does set himself up with this hidden macro hatchery to also go for something like a 4-hatch Hydra play and go for like an 8-minute timing attack and try and bust open Snow before the storm actually finishes. But the 4-hatch before gas is also a very strong macro build. It's actually a way I like playing this matchup, saying it does allow you to produce a lot of drones. The only problem is you're reliant predominantly on that Hydra Den to slow down and stop any Corsair harassment. So if they're really good at like Sair DT play and you're not really on top of your early game defense, you can get pulled apart. So you have to really know your stuff to make a build like this work flawlessly.
Yeah, you can see Hero pulling back his overlords already, aware of that threat, and of course it's going to be a very fast Corsair from Snow, with the opener here being Nexus first. It's very difficult to keep up with the teching, the speed of the teching here from the Protoss player, and so he's just not even going to attempt that. Instead, just getting into a lot of drones and having Hydras in time at his natural. Try to make sure that he doesn't lose any overlords here initially and get himself into a good macro position. Looks like he might just barely catch this probe. Probe will not get into the main though. Just gonna block that right out. Make sure that that doesn't get all the information necessary, and keep Snow guessing at least until this Corsair gets in to find out exactly what's been happening here on Hero's side of the map.
I think he's delayed his lair. I think he's going to start making the lair as the Corsair. Okay, he's not even going to do that. This is crazy from Hero. He's really playing cocky right now. He's just showing his hands to Snow. I thought he was going to make the lair to kind of hide when he built that. Like maybe it was already halfway done or almost done when the Corsair flies in and make it look like it didn't just start that second. But actually not even going to try something like that. He wants to just go straight up 4-hatch Hydra, really put the pressure on and try and bust open Snow before he has the Storm upgrade finished. He'll rely predominantly on cannons from this point onwards. He'll need about 8 or so cannons to be warped in gradually over time. He's trying to slow down the gateway production of Snow significantly. The only problem is that he needs some slow overlords at the front line to prevent DTs from being utilized in slowing this down. He has one single overlord with another one to the south that he can bring up here. So he did a good job of not bringing those overlords too far back initially to allow them to be put back into position to put the pressure onto Snow. And he will be making a lot of cannons now to try and hold on.
Yeah, going up to 6 cannons. He actually needs to keep adding these on. Be very careful with a play like this. 4-hatch Hydra.
Yep.
You have so many more Hydras than when you're going for 973. You can really get pumping here with that extra hatchery worth of production and those extra drones mining away. We're going to see a massive wave of Hydras coming forward here. It looks like some droning's happening back at home, but this is going to be wild. How can Snow hold on to this? He's going to make it happen now. Got to pull the probes. You got to pull the probes here. Cannot allow these Hydras to start gunning down cannons. Very nice pull forward there by Hero. He's targeting down the last Zealot, getting rid of the probes here at the front. Now going to target down one more cannon. Just 4 left over. 3 now. 3 cannons with a few probes. The probe pull was a bit late from Snow, and so he's paying the price. Only 3 cannons left over here, and there's going to be another wave of Hydras coming right in behind this. 1 more cannon's going to go down, and Snow's lost so many probes here at the front.
I think he's done it. I mean, he has the Overlord for the DT variation as well. He has to rely on Storm only to hold the line. 1 single High Templar with 1 Storm is all that he's going to have left to try and resecure his natural. With a good enough pro pull and 1 singular money Storm, he can still hold. Depends on how good Hero's going to be at holding that and dodging that. Here comes the 1 Storm that's available to Snow now. As long as Hero doesn't flinch in the face of this High Templar and is able to dodge it well enough, he will be able to close out this game still. This is crazy. Storm's not quite yet finished for Snow. Should be done at 8 minutes 30. He's a little bit slow with finishing that up. High Templar gets taken out. GG is called, and that's one of the best executed 4-hatch Hydras I think I've ever seen in my life, saying that was masterfully executed by Hero. What a final showdown to this week at KCM.
All right, an excellent showing from Zerg this week, grabbing another first place win, 3 in a row, week 6, 7, 8, maintaining that first place spot and guaranteeing their seed into that finals. This was honestly a great episode or a great week to watch if you want to learn more about Zerg. There's been so many different situations and so many different builds that have been shown here, and really masterful play by both Hero and Queen this week. Queen really showed us how to deal with the 2-gate, and awesome Hero showing us how to deal with that Nexus First as well. Dude, Nexus First is such a hard build to navigate around if you're not able to punish early, but Hero did it beautifully there.
Oh, absolutely. I couldn't say it better myself, saying I'm just so impressed by the 4 hatchery before gas with a hidden in-base macro hatchery play. Like, I've not played it like that before. I would usually just throw down the 4th macro hatchery at the natural after taking a fast 3rd, but Hero says no. I'm going to initially make this look like a potential 2-hatch lair, kind of threaten the idea of a tactile play, deny the scout from getting into my main base, and then transition into a very crisply timed 4-hatch Hydra, and even allowing the Corsair to see that there's no lair. I mean, usually if you were doing a normal 4-hatchery before gas, you would eventually be getting that lair as a bit of a catch-up play. So he showed Snow that he was planning on doing that and still managed to execute it. That's some really crazy stuff we saw from Hero just a moment ago. He obfuscated a little bit at the start of the game, but it was already too late for Snow to stop once he had identified that there was no lair on the way, mainly because he didn't stop those 2 slow overlords from being in a position to shut down any kind of Dark Templar variation. How late the Storm upgrade was, and the fact that Snow didn't identify that he needed like at 9 or 10 cannons, not just like 7 or 8. And then unfortunately for him, the pro pull, while good, wasn't really as perfect as it should have been. And someone like Hero, like demonstrating how monstrously strong Zerg can be, even against something like a 12 Nexus deficit. It's just insane to me, Sam.
One thing you can do against that, and unfortunately Snow kind of failed to do there, is the moment that you see the 4-hatch Hydra production, the first thing on your mind should be getting rid of the Overlord. When you don't see layer like that, the Overlord, I don't mean the Overlord's in the main. I mean the Overlord that's heading towards your natural. If you're able to kill that Overlord, it shuts down so many of these timings. So many of these timings rely on that Overlord for vision, so that you can deal with the DT popping out. And one thing you can also do here as the Protoss player is right as you see the Protoss or the Zerg player gearing up to attack in, get your Corsairs ready, because when they're running in and trying to snipe down that cannon, the Overlord's going to be at the back of the pack. sitting out there kind of exposed for a few seconds. And if you can fly in, gun down that Overlord and make a DT, then again, you have a great option to shut down that attack. Unfortunately for Snow, not able to hold on. I was hoping for a nice long game, but a very technical bust from Hero winds things out. Here, we are done with the normal weeks of KCM, with the first 8 weeks. Semifinals between Terran and Protoss is next, guys.
Right.
Join us on Friday, Soup Live, for that live cast. Otherwise, it'll be up on YouTube shortly after. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Any last words here, Shun, before we go?
There's just one thing I wanted to quickly point out. Hero also really faked out Snow by transferring 2 drones from his natural to his third right before he pulled the trigger on the Hydra bust, just so that there was less chance of additional cannons being thrown down at the last possible seconds to give it a teeny tiny bit more of a win percentage. It's kind of insane, the tiny little micro things that Hero was doing to optimize that full hatch Hydra bust. And I've talked about that bust a lot in our previous weeks of KCM, and I'm so happy that we got to see something that was that well executed and planned by Hero. I hope we have a really good Terran versus Protoss semifinals. I'm looking forward to that. And I don't even care at this point if it's going to be Zerg versus Terran or Zerg versus Protoss. In fact, I think I would like to see a Zerg versus Protoss finals, just because I think it's a long time coming since Protoss, were in those finals and fighting strong. But I'm going to be happy either way.
All right, guys, that's it for this week. Thank you, everybody, for showing up and showing out, showing us support. And we've had an absolute blast this season so far. Looking forward to the semis and the finals. We'll see you there.